Not as strong as I once was. Things start to fall apart when you stop caring. And I stopped caring a long time ago.
Hello, friends. My name is Stevie Cade, and it's time for a Mega Pint.
A mega pint.
It's actually what my shirt says. I just wanted to show it off because I love this shirt. Time for a Mega Pint. Anyway, welcome to Film Trigger. Oh, man. So the movie Samaritan came out on Amazon Prime this past weekend. And I'll tell you what, I was really looking forward to this movie. I have been really looking forward to this movie since I first saw the trailer. It seemed to me like it was going to be a nice, gritty tale of a superhero movie. And yeah, and it's got Sylvester Stallone in it. So how are you going to go wrong with that? That's a good question, and we'll dive into that in just a little bit. But before we do, if you could, hit that like, thumbs up button, that subscribe button, and the little bell ding so you get notified every time I upload a new video. If you want to hit the dislike button, go right ahead. I don't give a shit. Without further ado, let's dive into my review for Samaritan. As I just told you guys, I was really looking forward to this movie, and I may have walked into this movie with a little bit of higher expectations than I should have, because I'll tell you what, man, I was really freaking bummed out when I watched this movie. Probably more so than I should have been, but I immediately wrote down my thoughts. I do have some good things to say about this movie, so let's dive into what I actually like about the film. Stallone. Can't go wrong with Stallone. He's great. He delivers the role that he was hired to do. I really enjoyed his character, and I thought Stallone did a stellar job. He knocked it out of the park. He definitely carried this movie on those broad shoulders of his. So if you're a Stallone fan, chances are you're going to really like this movie. If you're not a Stallone fan, then, well, buckle up. It might be a long ride for you. The cinematography I thought was pretty well done. It really enhanced the gritty nature that this movie was attempting for. Yes, I do say attempting. We'll dive more into that here shortly. And I also think the concept of this movie was absolutely wonderful.
Samaritan died 25 years ago.
That's what they say.
You think you live across from a superhero? Do you have a therapist, kid?
Now, you know, when I compliment the concept of a movie, there might be more to that. Again, we'll talk more about that here in just a little bit, but I do enjoy the concept. The bare bones of what this movie is supposed to be, I thought was a very unique idea, a very creative idea, something new and refreshing in a world that's completely oversaturated with superhero films. And in the skeleton of the story that was told in this movie, there are some redeeming factors. The fact that this is a story of redemption, following false idols, and a pretty predictable yet decent bait and switch at the end of the film, which you can kind of get onto me. That might be a little spoilery, but it's not. I didn't really tell you what the context was, so get off my ass about it. I'm in a spicy mood today, I'll tell you that much. Jesus, I need a Snickers or something. Yes, the concept was great, not necessarily the execution. Now, moving right along with some things I'm on the fence about when it comes to this movie, and I only have really one thing I'm on the fence about, and that's the fighting sequences. I think they were done pretty well. What little fight scenes we did get, I thought they were entertaining.
Some say it's only a matter of time before the city implodes.
I think we're finished here.
But the operative word here is little. We had very little fighting scenes. We could have had a lot more sprinkled throughout this movie. Decent fighting scenes. Should have gotten more of it. The hell was that? Okay, so apparently there's a huge storm going on outside. I'm in my studio, which has all the windows blocked off. I didn't realize there's a storm here, and my screen door just flew right open. Freaked me out because I had no clue what that noise was. Okay, anyway, back to the review. Where was I? Fighting sequences, yes, they were good. Needed more of them. Moving on. Now for what I don't like about this movie. Concept versus execution. Concept, rated R, gritty superhero film with heavy narratives. Execution, shit show. It seems like the director had no confidence in this film. Like, they wanted to make this great, gritty, dark superhero movie. Then they started backpedaling a little bit and gave us a watered-down PG-13 version of it. I can't blame the fact that I didn't like this movie just on that, because there was a lot of elements that went into me not liking this movie. And one of those elements is the writing. I thought the writing was very weak. As a matter of fact, an example here, no spoilers, but there is a story about Stallone's character in this movie that plays very heavy in the third act. And we don't really know what that story is. It was kind of predictable. I saw it coming, and it was a decent idea, and I could have seen them building up to that, but they didn't add that in the story. Even the big reveal in the third act leaves me with more questions like, but why? Why did that happen? What was his purpose? Like, it's really hard to explain without going into spoilers, but I'm telling you, that big reveal in the third act, number one, again, was predictable. But number two, could have played off a lot better if we just built onto that throughout the whole movie, but we didn't. And it's just there, and we don't know why it's there. They barely explain it, and it's a major part of the third act of this film. They kind of hint at Samaritan having a reason why he did what he did. God, I can't explain this without spoilers. There's a thing that happened that I can't tell you about. Go watch the movie. Shit. Seriously, I need a Snickers.
Samaritan's dead. I pick up garbage for a living, pal. You mind your business, I'll mind mine.
Honestly, this movie should have been like The Crow. Like, it has the potential to have that sort of deep storytelling, but they add in this random humor and shelve character building. The friendship between Stallone and the kid, I don't think it was believable. It's almost believable, but a little too rushed. Again, they just don't explore building these characters together too well. The antagonist of this movie makes no sense to me. I don't understand his purpose, what his main goal is. Like, I know he has a main, like, master plan, but there's no reason for it. He doesn't benefit anything from his master plan. And then that little bait and switch that they do at the end, it's just, man, so much potential about following false idols that they just didn't play into. The antagonist had no purpose, no drive, no anything. He's just there because I'm a bad guy doing bad guy stuff.
How come you hate who you are?
And then once we make it to the third act, it's the boss battle between the antagonist and Stallone. What the fuck is the motivation here? Stallone is a superhero. This guy's just Jake from State Farm. He's a regular dude. So now they have to come up with this weak-ass reasoning why Stallone's inhibited, not as strong as he should be. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. I don't buy for 1 second that Samaritan couldn't just flick this guy and he'd die. He would just, like, obliterate. It's going to be time for a mega pint after this movie, that's for sure. And speaking of the main bad guy, who was played by Pilo Asbeek, I think that's how you say his name, he was completely and utterly overacting his role, like, a lot. It was almost comedic, like, but not on purpose, and that's the worst type of comedic. And listen, I'm not one to pick on little kids, but Javon Walton, who plays the kid in this movie, was all over the place. I don't know what he was doing. And a matter of fact, I'm going to take the heat off him. I'm going to put it onto the director, Mr. Julius Avery. Oh yeah, buddy, I'm pointing at you. I think he was just misdirecting everybody. As a matter of fact, there's just a lot of characters in this movie that, number one, aren't built up. They aren't developed, so I don't really care about them. Number two, it seems like the actors are just kind of doing whatever the heck they want with absolutely no purpose or guidance. And the cherry on top of this fucked up shit cake, they de-aged Stallone in a flashback scene, and my God, is it terrible. It's Uncanny Valley all the way. It looks just as bad as The Rock and Scorpion King, and that's really bad, and like 20 fucking years ago. Overall, this film is so frustrating to me because it has good bones. It has a decent skeleton of a story, like a really decent skeleton of a story. You have Stallone doing a great job in the leading role. The story has so much to give us, the audience, and it just fell apart. Julius Avery did not have the balls to go all in on this movie like it should have been. It should have been treated as a rated R property. Instead, we have a movie that's riddled with shallow dialogue, poor storytelling, almost no character building, and neuters its main character in the third act so he can struggle to fight a regular street thug. And for all these reasons, I'm giving this movie a D-.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
It was pretty terrible.
There you have it, guys. There's my spicy-ass review for Samaritan. Sorry, I'm in a mood today. I want to know your thoughts of this movie in the comments below. I hear some people are really liking this, and I don't blame them. I can see the movie being good for some people. I did go into it with high expectations, and that was my fault. So if you go into this movie, lower your expectations, and you might have a decent time with it. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you like this movie? Do you hate this movie? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Comments below. Put them down there. Also, be sure to check out some more of my videos. And as always, stay trigger happy, my friends. Peace.
Samaritan cleaned up the streets.
You mind your business, I'll mind mine.
I don't believe you!